wanted to get a little vulnerable in this video. Um, Nobody's perfect, and I'm by far one of those people. And I didn't want to do this video. I really haven't had the energy really to do a video, you know. Um, those thoughts creep into your head, even if you're telling people, to hang in there, to stay encouraged. I'm telling people that all the time, but I need to start telling myself that because, sometimes I think like this is not for me. This is not something that I should be doing. I don't even know if I'm doing the right thing or if I'm on the right path. I pray about it all the time. I listen to God, and I find myself recording, and because this is something that I know that I want to do. But sometimes when you don't see um, any type of response or any type of success, what we call success, I guess, you tend to have those thoughts like, is this for me? Am I going the wrong direction? And I think that's where I am in my journey right now. And plus, I have my own issues. I have, I've been praying to God that He blesses me to be more financially um, together. I'm horrible with money, horrible with it, and I truly believe when I first moved here, I got a job, and I was making more than I have ever made in my life at this job when I first moved to Las Vegas. It was 4.5 years ago, and I thought I was humble. I thought I was doing the right things, but I would spend, and on things that I know that I shouldn't be spending money on, and I wasn't giving back, and I felt too that God had wanted to remind me, that I need help with my finances, with money problems, and it's painful to say, but it's it's true. It's true. I need to save. I need to stop spending so much. I have a spending problem. Other people have alcoholism. Other people do drugs. Some people, have, pornography problems. I have spending problems, and it's a problem because I don't feel like I'm never going to get there, and I feel like I get down on myself, because I'm the stay encouraged person, the you got this person, but I'm human, and I know I need to make some changes in my life, and I'm calling myself out because I want you all to know that it's okay to call yourself out if you're going through something, if you're battling something, if you're to a point where you feel like you can't discuss it with somebody. It's okay. God is always there. He's always an open ear. He always tells me, you're not going to get back to the place where you were unless you get this together, unless you get this spending problem together. And I recognized it. And I am trying to do something about it. I'm not to a point where I am, behind on my bills or anything like that. But the job that I have now, I thank God for, but I'm not making nowhere close to the money that where I was making when I first moved here 4.5 years ago. And I think that was kind of God letting me know, hey, why would I trust you with more if I couldn't trust you with what I blessed you with? I couldn't trust you with the amount of money that you were making. So I'm taking it from you, and I'm allowing you to make less. You still have a job, but you're not making nearly as much as you were making. And I had to, you know, move some things around, but at the same time, I was trying to spend like I was spending when I was making that some amount of money when I first moved here. And it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And I don't want to lose myself, you know, trying to get what I want. I don't want to lose myself trying to get what I want. And I get angry about it, you know. I get down about it, but I can honestly say that I have a spending problem, and I'm working on it. I'm working on myself, and like I said before, you know, I want to be vulnerable with you guys because I want you all to know that it's okay, you know, to be vulnerable, to share with someone what you're going through, what you're battling, and because you never know, you know, who can give you that, you know, that good advice, you know, who can help you out, you know. You never know who God is going to place in your path, you know, to help you out, you know. um and the reason why I say that is because, you know, a couple people called me and was like, you know, hey, you know, I see that, you know, you have this much experience. You know, you have all this experience in payroll and finance and all that and we want to offer you, you know, a job, you know, recently. And I'm like, okay, so I see that, you know, once I start taking a step to better myself, to even, you know, like I said, even call it out, you know, my issues, my problems, you know, God steps in. God steps in and he says, you know what? Okay, I see that you're doing better. I see that you're making progress. So I want to help too. You know, I want to help you. Since I see that you're helping yourself, I want to help you too. I want to help you further along. And, you know, I've been, you know, applying to different places. You know, I haven't really got a solid uh, a solid interview yet, but I know that it's coming because more and more are starting to reach out to me, and I kind of feel like, you know, that it's going to happen. But be vulnerable, y'all. Be vulnerable. It's okay. If you're going through something, you're going through something. We're not perfect. We're not going to be perfect. You know what I'm saying? Pick up the phone and call someone. Don't deal with it on your own. You know, don't deal with it on your own. And the most important thing first is reach out to God because he's the one that's going to bring those people to you. You know, I still, you know, thank God for all the help that I have been receiving, and you know, and I want to acknowledge those people, you know, that have helped me on my journey. And I just, you know who you are. I thank you all so much, and I'm ready to be a lender and not a borrower. I'm ready to be the head and not the tail. And I know those blessings are there for me, and I know that God has that for me, but I just have to make some changes. You know, sometimes you have to call yourself out. Call yourself out. If you're dealing with alcohol, if you're dealing with drugs, if you're dealing with social anxiety, if you're dealing with any type of anxiety, Call yourself out. Find the root of the problem. The root of the problem needs to be fixed. You know, I I know the changes that I need to make. I'm aware of the steps that I need to take. But it's up to me to say, you know what? Okay, it's time to start making those steps. It's time to start, applying those changes. You have to apply those changes. You can't just say, okay, I know I need to change, but continue to do the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. That's not how it works. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. I don't want to be in the same position next year. I want to be able to do the things that I like to do. I don't even travel as much as I do. I wanted to go home for Thanksgiving. I wanted to go home for Christmas. But the job that I have, I thank God. Like I said, I thank God for it, and I'm not complaining. But I don't have PTO. I don't have vacation time. So if I take time off, I'm going to have to find a way to make it up. I don't want to work more. I don't want to have to work more, to make up my time. I don't want to do that. So I know I have to get my stuff together because I like to travel. I like to do things. And I'm not saying I'm not able to do those things, but right now it's not smart. You know what I'm saying? It's not smart. I'm not saying that, I can't afford certain things because I know how people get to talk. Oh, Alan broke. He ain't got no money, and whatever. What are you dealing with? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you be vulnerable. You get on here and let me find out what you're dealing with. Because I know it's something. Because we're all struggling with something. You're just not vulnerable to open up, to say, you know what, I need to make some changes. And I know this is a long video, but I just wanted to, like I said, encourage myself. Y'all pray for me. I'm praying for y'all. Stay encouraged. I'm going to try to. Yeah, I have this struggle. I have this issue. And I am going to get through it. I'm going to get through it. And we can't do things alone. We can't do things alone. There's too many people out there trying to do this alone and are taking their lives because they get depressed, because they feel like they're alone. And I thank God for the people that are around me to help me, for Him, for God. Thank God for God. Thank God for you. And I just, like I said, I'm praying for y'all. Y'all pray for me. Stay encouraged. We got this. And just make those changes and stick to them. Okay? We got this. Have a good rest of your week.